everyone, welcome back to my channel. We will start with a new series where we'll create a weather app in Jetpack Compose. In the previous series of Jetpack Compose, we created a contacts app where we learned about room database and mvvm. And now in this series, we will learn about Retrofit and API. So let me quickly give you a demo. This is how it looks. I have kept the UI minimal because UI designing is not my thing. I only focus on logic and you should too. Here we are supposed to write any city name. So I will write Mumbai. Then click on the check weather button. And look, we have 4 attributes. The city's name is Mumbai. The temperature is 27 degrees Celsius. The humidity is 83%. And lastly, a description as drizzle. We will retrieve these 4 things from the API and display them in cards. Simple. But which API? So I'll be using Open Weather Map API. See, we have already seen how Retrofit works. But this time we will see how it works in Jetpack Compose. Okay? Now let's create it. Open Android Studio. Create a new project. Choose an empty activity. Name the project the Weather App. And click on Finish. Now the project is quite big, so obviously I have divided the videos into 3 parts. This is our first video where we will cover Prerequisite. Then the second video we will cover Retrofit, which is very important. Then the third and the final video will cover designing the UI in Jetpack Compose. Got it? So let's start with the Prerequisite. Go to Gradle Build. As we will be using Retrofit and mvvm, so add the required dependency. Then click on Sync Now. And then go to Colors. Here we will add 2 colors, blue and dark blue. So let me quickly add them. And then to make the app look more fancy, I'll simply add a background image in the drawable. And then next, go to Android Manifest. Here, as we are retrieving the data from API, so obviously we will require the internet for that, right? Hence, I will give the internet permission. And then, now the last thing in Prerequisite is to get an API key. To use an API, we need an API key for exclusive access. So go to Open Weather Map API. I'll mention the website link in the description box. Here we have different types of API, such as current weather data, hourly forecast, daily forecast, climatic forecast, and many more. Most of them have price, except for the current weather data. It's free to use. So we are going to use that one. Hence click on subscribe. Here you will see a pricing chart. I will go with the free package. So click on get API key. Then register yourself by creating a new account. And then click on create account. Then write your company name and purpose. Confirm your email ID. Click on API keys. There is the default API key that you can use in your project. Also, the API key might take an hour to activate. Now keep your API key safe because in the next video we will be using it. So stay tuned for that. For now, that is it for the video. If you are new to this channel, then please consider subscribing to my channel and I'll see you in the next video. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In the previous video, we covered the prerequisites of the weather app, and now in this video, we will cover Retrofit. So now let's create it. The topic is kind of tricky, but I'll try my best to make it as simple as possible. So now let's go step by step. So the first thing is, what is an API? It stands for Application Programming Interface. There are many types of API such as Weather API, News API, Maps API, and others. It is basically connecting two softwares. The one that we are creating and the other is provided by a company. For us, it's Open Weather Map API. It gives us real-time responses. So in our case, we are using this current weather data. You can click on the API doc and read it. We are taking the city name from the user and providing the current weather data of that particular city. Here is an exact example of it. See, we have different parameters such as Q is referred to city name, then app ID is the API key, and many more. Let's try it. See, till here is our base URL. And then from here the parameters, and this is our endpoint. We will be using Q and app ID. So write the city name Delhi and your API key. This is what the response looks like. So whatever API gives us, in the technical language it is called a response. The response is in JSON format, which is not readable. Hence, I'll use a JSON formatter website to make it readable. Better, right? Now focus. In JSON syntax, we have keys, values, and object. Anything that is inside two curly braces is an object. Then all of these are keys. And all of these are values. There are so many keys. Of course, we are not going to use all of them. We will only use 4 of them. City name, temperature, humidity, and description. If you want, you can use other key values as well. Now see, the city name is present inside these brackets. The description is present inside the weather object. And temperature and humidity are present inside the main object. Now see how we write this. Come back to Android Studio. Create a data class. Name it weather response. And done. Now inside this data class, I will write a name whose data type is string. This is our city name. Also, please keep the key name as it is. Next, we will add temperature and humidity. But we cannot directly add them because they are present inside the main object. Hence, create a separate data class main. And then inside it, write temp, whose data type is float, and humidity, whose data type is int. And now, write main here. Similarly, description is present inside the weather object, hence creating a separate data class weather. And inside it, description, whose data type is string. And now write weather here inside weather response. But we will use data type as a list of weather. Why? Because there could be multiple descriptions like rainy, drizzle, or broken clouds, anything. And with that said, weather response class is ready. Next, we will create a weather API interface. And done. This is mostly syntax only. This is where we request the data from API. To request, we use @get with an endpoint. What is an endpoint? This is our URL, till here base URL. Then this weather is an endpoint. And these are parameters. Hence write endpoint weather. Then create a suspend function getWeather. This function will fetch the weather data and it is marked with suspend because it performs a network request and should be called from a coroutine. Got it? Then inside it, we need to mention the parameters. So write @query q, which is a city value, whose data type is string. Then app ID, which is our API key, And then units is temperature measurement, which is metric, means Celsius. This is a request to API, and in return, it will give us a response, that is weather response, which we created. Then create a companion object. And inside it, create a base URL variable. And done. Then create a function, create weather API. This function creates and configures a retrofit instance to interact with the Open Weather Map API. Then start building the retrofit instance. Write add converter factory, JSON converter factory dot create. This configures retrofit to use JSON converter for JSON serialization and deserialization. Then set the base URL for the API endpoints and then build. Lastly, return the retrofit instance to create an implementation of the weather API. And that's it. Now, as we are using view model, so obviously we will be required to create a separate class for view model. And done. Here, extend the view model. And inside it, let me write the code first and then I'll explain. And done. Now see, this defines a mutable state flow named underscore weather data, which is initialized with null. Then state flow is a state holder that emits the current and subsequent state updates to its collectors. Here it holds instances of weather response. Then this initializes an instance of weather API using the create function. This is used to make API requests to fetch weather data. Then create a function fetch weather with two parameters, city and API key. Then inside it, view model scope dot launch will execute a coroutine. And inside that coroutine, this will call the getWeather function from the weather API interface to fetch weather data for the specified parameters, that is city and API key. Then this will update weather data with the fetched response. Basically, it will trigger the state flow to emit a new value that notifies the UI about the updated weather data. And lastly, catch any exceptions that might occur during the API call. And that's it. Our retrofit is ready. In the next and the final video, we will design the UI in Jetpack Compose. So stay tuned for that. For now, that is it for the video. If you are new to this channel, then please consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In the previous video, we covered the retrofit and API of the weather app. And now, in this video, we will design the UI. So open Android Studio, go to the main activity. Here, we will create a UI using Jetpack Compose. The UI is pretty simple. See, we have a text field where we will write the city name and a check weather button. Then below it, we have 4 cards, and each card has 2 text, the title text and the response for the city name, temperature, humidity, and description. Easy, right? So now let's create it. Remove the default code. And then we will create a composable function named weather screen. And then also I will create a preview function so that you can see the UI while writing the code. Then inside it, all the UI elements, but before that, initialize all the variables. The first variable is view model. We need to connect the weather view model here with our UI. Then we need to observe the state, means to observe the data and make changes accordingly. Hence, write well weather data by view model dot weather data dot collect as state. Now what is collect as state? Collect as state is a function that converts the state flow into a compose state object that can be used to automatically update the UI when the data changes. Got it? Also add the required imports. And done. Then the city variable, which will store the city name. And its imports too. And then finally the API key. I am writing random numbers, but here you will add your API key from OpenWeatherMap API website. Okay? And done. Now comes the UI part. The entire screen is a box with a background image. So create a box with fill max size. Then using paint, I will set the background image. With content scale as fill bounds. And then, now inside the box, we will create a column. This is also fill max size. With padding 16 dp. And horizontal alignment as center horizontally. And vertical arrangement as top. Now inside the column, give a spacer of 180 dp height. Then below it, we will create a text field. But I want the text field to have an outline, hence I am using an outline text field. Then inside it, the value will be city, means it will store the city name, then write all the parameters. And then next, give a spacer with 16 dp height. Then a button whose on-click will fetch the data from the viewModel.fetchWeather function using the city name and API key. Then keep the button color blue JC and the button text check weather. And done. Then below it, give a spacer of 16 dp height. Now here, 4 cards will come. So instead of creating each card every time with the same parameters, we will simply create a card composable function which we can use for all the 4 cards. I am basically reducing the amount of code to write. Got it? So come outside the brackets and here create a composable function named weather card. With 3 parameters. Label means the title text, and the value means the response from the API, and then the icon beside the label. And done. Now inside it, create a card with all the necessary parameters. And then inside the card, create a column again with all the required parameters. Then inside that column, we will create a row that will consist of an icon and label. So give alignment and arrangement. And done. Then create an icon with all the parameters. And done. Besides it, we will give a label and a spacer of 4 dp width. And then the text, which is our label. And done. Next, outside the row brackets, again give a spacer of 8 dp. Height. And then below it a box which will consist of the value means the API response. Hence create a box. Keep it fill max width. With weight 1f. And content alignment as center. Then the text that will display the value with all the required parameters. And done. Our card template is ready. Now let's use it here. First, check if the weather data is not null. If it is not, then let will execute the below code. Now see, these two cards are beside each other in a row, and likewise these two cards are beside each other in a row. Hence, we need to create two rows, right? So create a first row with the required parameters. And then inside it, our first card will display the city name. Hence, I am using the weather card function whose label is city. The value is the response, means it.name. Then the icon is a place icon. And that's it. Similarly, I will create a second card with the label temperature. Also, change this city string. Then value is it.main.temp. Because remember we store temperature value inside a main function, hence it.main.temp. You can also click on this to see where it comes from. Also, don't forget to add Celsius, then the star icon. So one row is completed, and now let's create the second row with all the required parameters. And then inside it, again we will add two cards. One is for humidity and the second one is for description. So let me write them quickly. and done. But look over here, again humidity is a part of our main functions, hence we have write it.main.humidity with a percentage symbol. Got it? And description is a part of the weather function, which is a list, hence it.weather 0, which is our first item of the list, then dot description. Got it? And I guess that's it. Also, you won't see cards here, but they will be visible at the time of response. Okay? Then don't forget to write the weather screen function here inside the set content. And now that's it. Our weather app is ready. Now let's run the app and see. Okay, it looks great. I will write the city name Mumbai and click on the check weather button. And ta-da! We have the city name Mumbai with 26 degrees Celsius, 89% of humidity and overcast clouds description. Great! Let's try another one. And it works perfectly. Also, you can adjust the UI elements according to your screen size. Okay? So yeah, that is it for the video. If you are new to this channel, then please consider subscribing to my channel and I'll see you in the next video.